Hi there guys, so in this video we are looking at the parabola. It's one of the more important functions that you learn. It's also known as the quadratic function, and we are going to study all the forms that a parabola can take on. So I've labeled them as the standard form, the turning point form, and the root form. Okay, so the standard form of a parabola equation is always given like this. So it's like a trinomial. We have ax squared plus bx plus c, a being the coefficient in front of x squared, b the coefficient in front of x, and c the constant, the number that doesn't have an x. So basically, even if this were to be jumbled around, you'd still be able to find a, b, and c by that. Now, we normally use a and b to find the x value at the turning point. So we use a and b's values to determine the x value at the turning point. And once we then get this x value, I should write at turning point. At the turning point, we then can sub it back into our original equation to find the y value at the turning point. Okay, pretty simple logic. C in this form will then be the y-intercept. So C represents or will have the same value as our y-intercept. And we know this because once you make x equal to 0, this becomes 0, that becomes 0, and the only one that doesn't have an x will stay there. So therefore the y-intercept will just be that C value. Okay, now in the turning point form, P and Q are actually the x and y values for the turning point. So the turning point coordinates, P would be the x and Q would be the y coordinate. So this is very plain and simple. The only trick here is watch out for that negative in the bracket. Because if you have in this bracket, let's say x minus 1, the x coordinate is going to be 1. If it was the opposite, let's say we had x plus 1, then this would be negative 1, because then it's minus negative 1, which gives you that plus 1 inside the bracket. So just watch out for P. Q is plain and simple because it's positive here and it's positive there as well. So whatever that value is, it's directly translated for Q. Okay, and that would be the y value for the turning point. A in both of these, in fact in all three, is the same thing. It determines the shape of the graph. So A determines the shape, and as you well know, parabolas is either the smiley face graph or the sad face graph, depending whether A is positive or negative. Okay, then lastly we have the root form. This is finding the equation of a parabola by its roots. Another word for root is simply x-intercept. Okay, so these roots over here are your x-intercepts. Okay, your roots are your x-intercepts, or the values at the x-intercepts. Yeah, and I guess if you want to work out what A is, you just substitute any other point that was given on the graph. So yeah, if it's not given, you can just sub a point. The same goes for this A. If that's not given, you sub a point. Cool. Now, normally they would give you the equation in the standard form, but sometimes you'd have to find the equation, and that's why I've taught you these two forms as well. Because if you're given the turning point, you can use this form. If you're given the x-intercepts, you can use this form. And it's just shortcuts to get to the answer much quicker. Yeah, and that's it.